Hello, my name is Luke Nash-Jones, and this is the Make Britain Great Again news network. There's been a lot of outrage by the liberal media regards certain comments made by Milo Yiannopoulos, which have been viewed by some as condoning paedophilia. There was uproar when he appeared on the Bill Maher show, but there has not been outrage about certain highly controversial comments made by Bill Maher, where he not only actually condoned paedophilia, but that paedophiles, Maher said, should not be punished, that they should not be sent to prison, but that we should support this supposedly as a Western society. And he also then went on to make the horrific claim that it's supposedly impossible to rape a male child.
Absolutely sickening.
What is sickening?
A woman who's over 20 years older and she raped this kid.
Raped?
Well,
come on.
Milo Yiannopoulos is known for very controversial dark humour, which often provokes people, and in this instance has created a lot of outrage.
Sounds
well,
like
you know what?
It sounds like Catholic priest molestation to me.
And you know what? I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him.
And there have been expressions by the media that he was condoning the abuse of underage children.
I was after I'd lost my virginity. I was in my teens. I was in my teens.
14.
I was in my teens. Something like that.
Milo is the victim of child abuse, as he mentions both in those video clips and also later in the press release he gave. And understandably, that would result in a lot of trauma. And it seems that he's been living in denial of the fact that he was abused, and he's trying to portray this to himself as a positive, healthy, normal relationship.
My relationship with my abusers is complicated by the fact that at the time I didn't perceive what was happening as abusive. But I can look back now and see that it was. I still don't view myself as a victim, but clearly I am one.
As we can see clear in the next clip I'm going to share with you, Milo didn't actually say that he felt general abuse of children was fine, but what he is trying to deny is that in his case it was unhealthy. He's trying to suggest that in his case it was a normal relationship.
You know, just because I was sexually precocious doesn't mean that I'm going to say that every 13-year-old who has sex with a 28-year-old is fine. I don't know, because I don't know the specifics of that case. I'm not saying that every relationship involving those ages is fine. I have said many times that I consider myself an outlier.
Milo then goes on to make a claim which many people also found controversial, which has caused a lot of outrage to many parents, where he says that this relationship actually was beneficial to himself.
You know, life-affirming, important, shaping relationships, very often between younger boys and older men, can be hugely positive experiences for those young boys. They can even save those young boys from desolation, from suicide, drug addiction.
Many people are unhappy, disturbed, offended by these comments made by Milo. It was following the coverage of him by the establishment media that this outrage occurred. And I have to ask, why is the establishment media also not going after George Takei, the guy who was in Star Wars, who promoted Pizza Hut, who is an icon of the liberals on Twitter, because he made similar joking remarks about when he was also abused as a child. Perhaps he also is trying to deny it. Perhaps he doesn't want to admit that he was abused. But there has been no attempt by the liberal media to suggest that he should not star in any more Star Trek programs and so forth.
And that was a clip from the doc when you had your first, when you got your cherry pop, basically.
It wasn't popped. It exploded.
And he touched you, and did you feel molested in a way?
What?
Were you molested in a sense because you were 13?
Because I was kind of willing. I thought he was pretty attractive.
Right.
And he was.
And you wanted to know why you felt this way.
Yeah.
You can see the comments that were placed there by people who are watching this program of him speaking when they suggested that the police should be involved, because clearly the law has been broken by a paedophile. You know, someone has committed a crime. It seems that both George and Milo don't want to admit that these horrific things have happened to them in the past. It's a very traumatic thing. Liberal media has not shown any consistency here. Now, for many of us, these remarks made by Milo might be new. We may have not heard of them before. But the media has actually been sitting on this for a while. Just before it was released, a journalist acknowledged this on Reddit. They acknowledged that this story was being saved to a time where Milo became prominent enough that they would want to destroy him. So now he has the book deal. Now he's been on the Maher show. It seemed like it was the time for them to destroy him. And the reason they haven't gone after the guy who starred in Star Trek is simply because his political beliefs don't offend them. They're not attacking people here to protect children. They're attacking people here merely to score political points. They are using this abuse of children for political gain, and that is disgusting. The general public are understandably very worried about, did Milo condone abuse of children? And in the clip that was shared around on the internet that went viral, he clearly does seem to suggest that he was involved in an underage relationship.
And yet here you are talking about how, look, you know, some of these kids that get diddled by these priests, I mean, it's a good thing for them. They're getting this love. Now they are also
You're misunderstanding what pedophilia means. Pedophilia is not a sexual attraction to somebody 13 years old who is sexually mature.
Now, he uses a phrase there, sexual maturity, which has caused a great deal of controversy. And then he goes on to clarify what he means by that.
Children who have not reached puberty. Pedophilia is attraction to people who don't have functioning sex organs yet, who have not gone through puberty.
It's clear here that Milo is denying what happened to him in the past. He tries to suggest that he was promiscuous as if this was his fault, when clearly he was an innocent child. He also tries to suggest that this was not a prepubescent relationship, that he was in his teens and therefore he could consent. He's clearly in denial. Now this is very different to what was done by the host. You know, Bill Maher. There was a lot of controversy when he went on Bill Maher's show. And what Bill Maher has said is actually far more worrying. Bill Maher is not in denial about himself being abused, but rather he is defending paedophiles. Just listen very carefully to this clip.
On the cover, Mary Kay Letourneau, the teacher from Seattle, who is in jail because she is in love. That's how I view it.
So the choice of words there by Maher seems to be very carefully chosen. He's describing this as love. He's trying to suggest it as innocent, and then he expresses that is his view. Now, what is he talking about here? It sounds like he's talking about a normal, healthy, romantic relationship, where he goes on to clarify now that he is talking about paedophilia.
She is 35, the boy is 14. He was younger when they started.
But he acknowledges that this relationship actually started when the child was younger than 14. Younger, this is than the age involved in the Milo. He goes on to acknowledge that this So he acknowledged there that this child was abused at an age younger than 14, younger than the age relevant to this Milo clip. That's very disturbing. But also, he now goes on to say that it's wrong to imprison.
And they're keeping the mother in jail because she won't conform to what society feels should be the perfect American family.
So he acknowledges there that this child was abused at an age younger than 14. That's younger than the age in the Milo clip. And then he goes on to dare to suggest that paedophiles shouldn't go to prison, that it should not be viewed as a crime.
Yeah, it's perfect. My dad's 14 years older than me.
Absolutely sickening.
What
Here
is
is
sickening?
a woman who's over 20 years older, and she raped this kid.
So then Maher is clearly So then Maher clearly complains that the American society, in his opinion, is inappropriate to condemn paedophilia, that it's inappropriate not to accept a woman abusing a boy as a healthy, normal family relationship. Now that's quite disturbing, and understandably his guests speak out. All of his guests condemn him for this.
Raped?
Well,
come on.
So his guests there clearly called this out for what it is, child rape. That's clearly what it is. It's certainly paedophilia. But Maher, look at his response here. He proceeds to mock his guest for this. He proceeds to mock his guest for speaking up for the rights of children.
She forced? How do you know? And how can you?
So his guest there clearly alludes to the fact that a child is not able, does not have the mental capacity, the maturity to give consent, and therefore such a relationship would certainly be by force. It would certainly be inappropriate. But then Maher proceeds to mock that, to proceed to disagree with that, and suggest that they couldn't be forced. This is disgusting.
How do you know that she didn't rape him?
How can
do
a
you
woman
know that she didn't seduce him?
How can a woman rape a man?
And now Maher seems to be desperate to try and get himself out of this hole he's dug himself into. He's clearly said something very stupid, very awkward. He's revealed some very disturbing things about him, and surely this should have destroyed him as a host. It's incredible that he still manages to have such a prominent position in American media. You know, if anyone else had said this, especially someone on the right, they would have been destroyed. But because he's a liberal, he can get away with saying, basically condoning rape. He then said there that, you know, a woman cannot rape a man. Well, firstly, we're not talking about a man here. This was a young boy. It was a child, not even necessarily a teenager. Moreover, it's absurd of him to suggest that men cannot be victims of rape. They can be raped by other men. We know this happens in prisons around the world. We know that this happens quite often. Many young boys often are abused by people such as priests, Catholic priests. This is a horrific thing that occurs, and his denial of this is downright absurd.
I think that an older woman can manipulate a young kid, and I don't think it's really healthy. I don't think it's healthy for a kid who's going to be 14 with 2 kids out in the world. I think those children will grow up fairly damaged. I think that kid's going to grow up fairly damaged.
So another guest came in there, totally destroyed Maher there, pointing out that it's not normal for a 14-year-old, it's not practical for a 14-year-old to be a parent. You know, they're going to school, how are they going to be bringing up these children? You know, it's kind of disturbing that this older woman wants to be in that kind of relationship. She's clearly not looking for a normal circumstance in which she could bring up a family. It's not practical, it's not natural, this is clearly unhealthy. And then Maher proceeds to attack this guest for taking not his side. You know, how dare, in Maher's opinion, someone disagree with him?
So you're on her side?
Yeah.
Okay.
So where is the demand from the liberal media that there should be a resignation by Bill Maher? Because while George Takei and Milo Yiannopoulos are in denial about the abuse they suffered as a child, the comments made by Bill Maher are far more disturbing, because he has suggested that, in his opinion, it would be wrong to imprison people for this horrific crime. He has suggested that he feels that it's impossible, supposedly, to rape a child, and he has mocked guests on his show who called him out for this. This footage has been sitting there for ages. Why have the liberal media not called out their shining beacon, their hero, for these disgusting comments?